Zaslav, everyone.
Oh, God.
He strikes again, Adam.
This is hell. Utter hell. What is this man doing, Ewan? Destroying hearts and souls.
He's a cultural vandal. He's destroying everything. He's destroying my beloved Warner Brothers. Yes, folks, it's me, Ewan from Whatculture, joined today again by Adam.
Hello.
And we've got some more bad Warner Brothers news for you. I mean, I think they must be holding the Animaniacs hostage at this point. I mean, the Animaniacs would never have let this happen. So, if you've been keeping up on social media, you'll probably have seen over the last 24 hours that news broke over the Hollywood Reporter that the new Looney Tunes movie, Coyote vs. Acme, which is going to star John Cena, was produced by James Gunn, who also had input in the story, was finished. And Warner Brothers did the thing that they did with Batgirl, and also Scoob Holiday Horns, and they've shelved it indefinitely for tax write-off purposes. It's gone into the Warner Brothers vault, it's completely finished, completely complete, and the anti-art maestro Zaslav is at it again. And we thought we'd just have a nice little rant about this because I have so many emotions running through me right now. You might think it's a little bit silly to get so worked up over a John Cena Looney Tunes movie. However, Looney Tunes, that's foundational Warner Brothers DNA, and it's so frustrating.
How far Looney Tunes goes back and everything that it established when it used to run and everything, everybody knows it, right? And then to take a property like this, which sounded incredible, it sounded fun, and everybody knows these established characters and everything, then to take it and just write it off, and then, I mean, the fact that it's not even going to get shopped around, just got a little article section here from Cartoon Brew taken from the Deadline report, which says, it won't even be offered to other companies, even though Amazon was interested in acquiring it for their streaming service. The tax write-off is apparently more valuable to Warner Brothers than any potential third-party pickup, which is wild.
So, yeah, the movie had a reported budget of $70 million, and the tax write-off that Warner Brothers are getting from putting it in their vaults is $30 million. So, in other words, Warner Brothers believes that it can't sell a Looney Tunes movie, which is ridiculous to me because it's Looney Tunes. It's foundational to the company's DNA. So in the story that the Hollywood Reporter broke yesterday, they got an explanation they got a quote from Warner Brothers themselves.
Here we go.
Which is just prepare to roll your eyes.
This was written by AI. It might as well have been.
Which is the AI voice. With the relaunch of Warner Brothers Pictures Animation in June, the studio has shifted its global strategy to focus on theatrical releases, which is again a kind of a nothing statement given that we already knew that this had shifted from being a HBO Max original to being a theatrical release. So this is just stupid. And Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group spokesperson said in a statement, quote, "With this new direction, we have made the difficult decision not to move forward with Coyote vs. Acme. We have tremendous respect for the filmmakers, cast and crew, and are grateful for their contributions to the film. Also, if you were grateful for the artists that worked on your movie, you would have actually released it. It is sickening."
You know what? This is the thing that gets to me the most, is when they end everything with saying, we really enjoyed our time. We thanks the cast and crew for working on this with us, and we look forward to working with them again in the future. How do you think that relationship is going to look? Because it's incredibly soured by people who have poured their hearts, time, souls, minds, everything into a project for 3 years, only to be then told, oh yeah, this isn't going to happen, but we'd love to work with you in the future. I mean, there was that video released as well, the crew reel of behind the scenes, which
so beautiful.
Looked incredible. Everyone was having fun, enjoying the property, obviously under the guise of, we're going to release this and it's going to be incredible, all of our work's going to be seen. Then to have the rug pulled out over them, literally the TNT pressed down the plunger on their project.
David Zaslav just going meep meep and then just being an absolute menace.
Literally.
This is, again, if you've been keeping up with the Warner Brothers stuff over the last year, you'll know that this is part of the course for Mr. Zaslav, who became the CEO of Warner Discovery when Discovery merged with Warner Brothers. Discovery, as you know, is a reality TV focused network. Used to do lots of documentaries, and now it's a place where they make fun of people and people get joy out of watching reality stuff. So he basically has no business being in this industry. Over the past year, he's done stuff like, we mentioned Batgirl, he shelved that. The directors of Batgirl found that out when they couldn't access the footage on the server. They weren't actually informed beforehand. Scoob Holiday Horn, ready to go, finished to go on HBO Max last Christmas. Boom, gone, also locked in the Warner Brothers vault for tax write-off purposes. They've also taken stuff off their streaming service for tax write-off purposes, which has actually encouraged other studios and networks to do the same. Disney Plus did it earlier this year. And also this year was his attempt to destroy TCM, Turner Classic Movies, a great place where people can access quality cinema from decades gone, the Hollywood Golden Age, all the way from the 1930s all the way through to the modern day, curated by people who love film, who have a passion for cinema. Steven Spielberg, and Martin Scorsese and everyone literally had to call up Literally had to call up
Yep.
David Zaslav to be like, what are you doing? Please don't destroy it. And now we have to rely on filmmakers themselves to curate content for TCM. It is just ridiculous. It is in a position right now where I'm just going to call him Mr. Death of Cinema. Like, it's just ridiculous. Warner Brothers is one of our most prestigious and iconic studios.
Yep.
And I know it's weird to play favorites with Hollywood businesses because the history of this industry is kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, so much that we love about cinema has wrapped up and has gone through the gates of the Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Looney Tunes, whether it's like Casablanca, like we have so much wrapped up in there.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, the guy who is in charge of this company does not care about cinema. He cares about content, and he doesn't actually understand what he's working with, and it is destroying the studio. And it is deeply upsetting.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we were kind of talking about this a little bit recently as well, where it's literally business minds that are in charge of this, that aren't people that understand cinema, as you said, who don't understand how people enjoy, you know, cinema and like cinema going in the classic kind of IPs of stuff like this. Like, they just don't get it. Their mindset is, how can we make and save money? Like, that's at the forefront of everything, and that takes away like entertainment value. It takes away this movie. Like, right now, nostalgia is huge in TV and movies, huge. But, you know, John Cena's having a great time with like TV and movies as well right now. Putting a massive star like that with something so baked in nostalgia is a win-win situation. If this film released over, like, say, the Christmas period, where there's like families going to the cinema, like taking kids to see like classic stuff like this, and then people are going, like millennials and everything like that, are going to enjoy this nostalgia trip with something like Looney Tunes, something as big as that, it could have made an absolute fortune. And that just makes no sense basically, strategically. I don't get why they thought, oh yeah, let's rip this away from people.
It could have been another Back in Action. We could have had, you know, Steve Martin going, Acme, and it would have been a great time. But yeah, I mean, compounding all of this heartbreak even further is the fact that we've had testimonials from people who not only worked on the film, but people who actually saw the film beforehand, as you mentioned before, that it was getting positive test scores. People were very positive about this. It seemed like it wasn't going to be another Space Jam. It was actually being made by people who understood the DNA of Looney Tunes, going back to, you know, Chuck Jones, and yeah, it's just upsetting. So this was from Dave Green, who was the director. Quote, "For 3 years, I was lucky enough to make a movie about Wile E. Coyote, the most persistent, passionate, and resilient character of all time. I was surrounded by a brilliant team who poured their souls into this project for years. We were all determined to honor the legacies of these historic characters and actually get them right. Along the ride, we were embraced by test audiences who rewarded us with fantastic scores. I am beyond proud of the final product and beyond devastated by Warner Brothers' decision. But in the spirit of Wile E. Coyote, resilience and persistence win the day." I mean, Dave, I'm so sorry. Like, I genuinely am so sorry that your amazing work here. I mean, again, I haven't seen the film, but the fact that you're so passionate about this, and the fact that we've gotten so many people coming out and being like, this movie was good.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating, and no artist, even if you make a bad movie, should have to have the eventuality come to it that their work is going to be locked in a vault for a tax write-off purposes. That is not, no one is involved in this industry to have their movie, their years of work, basically go down the toilet for some rich guy to basically be like, oh, we need a tax write-off. And it's very frustrating.
It's heartbreaking as well. Like, nobody goes into a movie. No one should ever be in a position to go into a movie thinking, oh, will my movie actually be released, or will it be locked away or written off for a tax purpose? You know, like, it's heartbreaking. Everybody else, you know, like, obviously Dave Green, like, our heart goes out to him for all the hard work he poured into that, and the people that he brought together to make this incredible movie. As I mentioned before, the crew really showed that they were having the best time, and it sounded like on paper they had everything right. Like, the ideas were there, like, you know, the execution was definitely there when you see the footage of that there. And also, got a quote here from Stephen Price, who was the composer that worked on the movie. And by the way, the Gravity soundtrack is amazing by Stephen Price. Go and check it out. But what he said about this movie was, disappointed and somewhat mystified by the Coyote versus Acme news. Dave Green made and completed an excellent movie, and a lot of people, not at least the brilliant musicians and colleagues who worked with me on the score, poured their hearts into it. I'm sad that fans of these characters, new and old, won't get to enjoy it in the months and years ahead. It's a really good film. Sadly, on this occasion, due to this decision, that's F all, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It is truly ridiculous, and it kind of goes back to the idea as well that they mentioned in their statement, Warner Brothers, they were like, we're looking forward to working with these people again. They do not understand how confidence works in this industry. This movie was co-produced by James Gunn,
Yeah.
who, if you aren't already familiar with, is the guy who they've handed the keys to the DC universe. He's got like a 6-movie plan or something right now. You know, we're going to start seeing production moving really far ahead on stuff like Superman, Creature Commandos, Batman, and stuff like that. If his projects aren't safe from Mr. Zaslav, then whose are?
What is?
Who in their right mind would want to go and work for Warner Brothers right now? Which is a ridiculous sentence to say, because again, one of the most prestigious studios in Hollywood has some of the most amazing, you know, stories that have cultivated through their gates. It's kind of just really heartbreaking, especially when you get further stuff like this. Writer David Gorinsky, he said that Coyote versus Acme is the best of its kind since Roger Rabbit, which is very, very lofty praise.
That says it all.
He's the guy who's been writing the current Scott Pilgrim anime series on Netflix. Yeah, Adam, I'm just really, really frustrated. And I think we've been on the gaming channel for a little bit. Shout out to Scott Telford and Whatculture Gaming. Did a really good rant about live service games yesterday,
Yes.
which actually incorporated Mr. Zaslav again, because he was out there championing the idea of live service games at a point in time in the industry where everyone is moving away from this stuff. And I kind of went off on a big rant on the podcast yesterday, basically going into how this guy is anti-art and is just absolutely gutting and destroying this industry. And it's kind of, the frustrating thing for me is that it's also encouraging other people to behave in this way. We mentioned that Disney Plus earlier in the year has been taking stuff off. You had the Willow series that was basically written off for tax purposes. This comes as a double body blow as well, right after both the Writers Guild and Actors Guild strikes, because the big discussion around that was AI and the idea of, you know, AI replacing writers, AI basically, you know, studios having the ability to take someone's image and use that in perpetuity, like after they're gone, which is shocking. And it seems from what we've read so far about the deal that, you know, the Actors Guild and the Writers Guilds have been able to maintain safeguards, you know, get better residuals, get better kind of like compensation for their work, and get protected from AI and studios trying to steal their essence, if you will. I'm worried now that this entire thing maybe wasn't discussed. And maybe there now needs to be another, because if this is going to keep happening, it completely erodes confidence. And it's a case of like, we've already seen like loads of money get sucked out of the industry as a result of the strikes, quite rightly, because they're punitive. They're meant to stop and bring these production companies and Hollywood studios to the table to give people a better deal. If this isn't addressed, how long is it going to go on for?
You know what, like, this is a classic example of look after the people who make your content really well and the content will shine and speak for itself. And what we have here is somebody who like just says, okay, well, let's look at how, but as I said before, how can we basically save money and how can we cut costs, right? How can we like scrape money back, which is obviously what they're going to do with this movie, right? Scraping back some of that money, which there was other plans to go and obviously they could have been made so much more money from that. But what makes no sense to me is if you put down a piece of paper and on there you've got written, right, James Gunn is involved, John Cena, one of the most popular kind of people right now, like, is involved, Looney Tunes, one of the biggest established franchises ever, is involved. We're going to do this movie. All of the test audiences are saying this is fantastic, it's doing really, really well. I mean, everyone is like going crazy about this movie, saying, you know, the best thing since Roger Rabbit, hello. And then for somebody to look at that piece of paper and go, nah. Like, that says everything. And as you just said there, Ewan, like, as we've just had this big battle, like when we've watched, unfortunately, like these people who have poured their hearts and souls into creating, into, you know, being creatives, into giving their work to this whole thing, and yet suddenly it's like, oh yeah, well, let's use AI because then that'll cut costs. Like, it infuriates me. It really does, because as I said, you look after the people, you work with the people who are making the content, who are putting their art out there. That's what generates the content. That's what gets people in. That's what makes the money.
It's a complete lack of sympathy, but also, you know, creativity on Zaslav's part. And I do get the sense there have been discussions in Hollywood that maybe they're gearing up Warner Brothers for another sale, another merger to go to someone like Apple, or maybe, you know, a Universal. And again, it's ridiculous to me that this guy's come in and basically said, we can't make Warner Brothers profitable, because if you can't make a Looney Tunes movie at Warner Brothers, then you might as well pack the whole thing in, if I'm being honest. But at least maybe if it then did eventually go to Apple, you would have them, you know, we've seen that Apple is willing to finance prestigious projects like, you know, like Killers of the Flower Moon, which they didn't expect to make a massive profit on, but they still went ahead and did it. At the minute, I'm just kind of really upset and angry because, again, I love Looney Tunes, I love Warner Brothers. I hate seeing creatives being treated this way, like they're literal dirt, and then to have the disingenuousness to basically go like, oh, we're looking forward to working with them again.
What a slap
it's
in
like,
the face.
It's either stone cold ignorance or just complete cruelty. The idea that you...
Both.
Yeah, probably both. It's just kind of like sickening to me, and I hope someone comes along and rescues Warner Brothers from this guy, because this dude needs to go to Moron Mountain. He needs to go straight there. Oh my god, this is just, I need to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. How do you feel about Coyote versus Acme, you know, being sent up the river for tax write-off purposes? I know everyone has a lot of passionate opinions on this, so please let us know down in the comments below. Drop the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Whatculture if you fancy more rants like this, because I do fear that they may be on the horizon.
Unfortunately, yeah, this is a wild time. But yeah, and also let us know down in the comments of your project that you were so devastated that got cancelled as well, because believe me, there are a lot of them to talk about.
Yeah, but until next time...